This year, take the first step towards a deeper connection with God and one another. Join us for the Family Consecration Service, a powerful journey of faith, love, and renewal. In 2025, we are called to consecrate our homes, our hearts, and our lives.
The Lord is protecting you with His favor this morning in the name of Jesus. May the Lord favor your going out. May the Lord favor your coming in.
To dedicate ourselves and our families to the path of faith, grace, and unity. Through prayer and reflection and a shared devotion, the Family Consecration Service 2025 brings families closer together, strengthens bonds, and invites God's presence into every corner of our homes. It's on Thursday, 1st of May 2025 from 6 a.m. to 12 noon. The venue is the Oil Dome, Royal House Chapel International, Accra. There will be renewal of vows for married couples.
On this occasion, I'm asking you to forgive me for all the hits and pain I have caused you.
Join countless families around the world as we come together to consecrate our lives in the spirit of love and faith. A consecration for today and for generations to come. Make this year a new beginning. Family Consecration Service 2025 for the love of God and the love of family. Join us this year. Together, let's consecrate our families and our hearts. In a world filled with challenges, we all need guidance, hope, and a lifeline to anchor us.
This is Lifeline, and I'm your host, Fred Crunchy Mensa.
From social issues, relationship challenges, and family matters, Lifeline is here to inspire, uplift, and guide you on your journey.
Where we give you support, where we hold your hand through the valley and through the thick and thins of life.
Join Bishop Fred Crunchy Mensa.
I welcome you especially to Lifeline.
Every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 p.m. right here on Channel 1 TV. Let's walk this path together, strengthen our faith, our families, and our lives. Lifeline, because every soul deserves a guiding light. Tune in to Lifeline on Channel 1 TV and let's grow together.
What's cooking? You are very welcome to the show where we stir up delicious meals.
Hey, so who's Lali and who's Lola? Okay, should we confuse her?
Give me small water. Oh. A little more than you pour everything. So now if the thing doesn't cook well,
It will be you.
We share inspiring stories.
I was planning to move to Ghana and I was looking for tea. Whenever I come to Ghana on holiday, I was always looking for different types of tea.
You were really in the UK before?
Yeah, I was in the UK.
And we savor every single moment at the dining table.
I said, what's cooking? Nobody minded me. But as there are judges here, in fact, all rise.
Why are you like this?
Because I'm going to judge here.
My name is Apioko Seiram Ashong Abe and I am your host. Apioko is enough for me, and here on the show, I'm ready to take you through everything that you need to know in the kitchen of kitchens.
Wow. That's beautiful. It's really lovely. Really fragrant. It's almost like perfume.
Yeah. What is macaroni pie? If you ask any Barbadian, they'll tell you that one of their favorite dishes is macaroni pie.
So it's time. Grab your apron, sharpen your knives, and get ready to get cooking with me right here on What's Cooking.
What's Cooking is brought to you by Tasty Tom, Kivo Pepper, and Susie Herbal Center.
Okay, you're welcome back to the Friends and Family Show on Channel 1 TV. We're coming to you live from our studios at number 5 Ola Hansen Lane in Tesano. My name is Noyo Kwote, and good evening once again. Tonight, we're talking about something that's adult related, but then everybody can relate actually. If you know, they say adults would not be scam, baby scam. It be proper scam. So we're talking about this tonight, work-life balance. Yeah, work-life balance. You know, we'd have to play around it a little, but it's quite serious. It's tedious, is, you know, stressful, is everything in there. So we're talking about it tonight. And I have in my studio 3 guests, 2 ladies and a gentleman. And we have Courage Nobi, who is a working dad. Right next to him, we have Majo Masope, who is an entrepreneur. So we're getting it from all angles today. And then I have as well Michelle Akusia Sewase, who's also a working mom. Right, you're welcome to the studio this evening.
Thank you.
And we're talking about work-life balance. Is it real?
It is.
It's real.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Real?
Yeah, but in
It's not
recent
a
times,
myth.
it can be a myth. Because in recent times, you can't say you are trying to juggle between work and then your social life.
Right.
It can be 50-50. It's not possible. You need to go through a lot of challenges. You need to be self-determined. You need to know what to do with your life. You need to set boundaries. You need to prioritize yourself. All that comes into play. So if you're trying to sort of work and then have fun, you need to be self-determined.
True.
It doesn't really come on a silver platter. You have to go through a lot of challenges to get to where you will be. Yeah.
So it's real?
Yeah.
It
Courage?
is. Yeah, it is real, and it is important. Also because you're talking context of family. And so for me, the basic principle is nothing should sacrifice family.
Say it again.
Nothing should sacrifice family.
Okay.
So then it's important to have the balance so that family doesn't suffer. Because I'm yet to read anybody on whose deathbed they regret the deal they couldn't broker or the striking advancement in career they couldn't achieve. It's always about that child they didn't look for, that mother they couldn't spend time with, and all of that. So it becomes important that as we pursue the goals, you know, you want to strike the heights and all of that, you balance it so that family doesn't suffer.
Okay.
And for us, particularly young dads, it's become absolutely important because we are too familiar with the children who grow up without any sentiments at all towards their fathers, if at all negative. And that's because a lot of the fathers were not present. So for me, it's a personal goal. At all costs, I must be present. The children must know me, feel my presence,
in their lives.
And yes, know what I'm doing in their lives.
Right.
You know, so that nothing is lost in between. But I must say, it's been a wonderful journey, particularly also with the kind of wife that I have. Yes.
Yeah, rooting for us. Yeah. Sure. All right, Majo.
Okay, so like Sewa said, it's difficult. But if you are, let's say, a salaried worker, it's a bit easier because you know you have like times you can close. But for entrepreneurs, it's when you're not too sure. So you're there and then something comes and you have to chase it because you don't know where your next paycheck is coming from.
Right.
But you, at the same time, you need to have a life. You need to have a social life. If you have a family, you need to be there for them. So it's quite difficult. And then you need to also do what works for you. Because if you're not careful, you lose yourself in the process.
Right.
Then you think about just the family, then at the end of the day, you end up looking all haggard and everybody's like, sees you like, are you okay? You know,
Right.
so you need, it's difficult, but you need to find what works for you.
Can you have it all? Can you have it all at once?
It's not possible.
It's not possible.
No.
So there definitely has to be a balance.
Yes.
You swing here a little, you swing there a little.
Nothing comes easy.
Nothing comes
Yes.
easy.
So there are times you will fall back, but you have to be very determined. You have to know that I'm a go-getter. I'm getting this. I'm going for this. You don't have to slack. There are times, you know, sometimes people go through certain phase of life and then they feel my life has ended.
Sure.
But no, it shouldn't be so. You have to go through it to get through it. You have to know that there are days that you wouldn't have money to even cater for your kids. There are days you wouldn't have it so easy. There are days your children will piss you off, but you have to get through it because you brought them to life. So it's not easy. It's this way. Life is like that.
Know,
yeah.
You need to find that balance.
Yes, there has to be a balance.
And I think one point of balance is what the two do.
Okay.
For example, my wife does the 8 to 5.
Okay.
So I don't do 8 to 5.
Nice.
So that's a level of balance. Yeah, because if both of you don't have any control over your time, then it becomes difficult.
Yeah.
So part of the balance is that one's time should be occupied, occupation is paid for. So there are restrictions. But the others can be a bit flexible. For example, I'm just coming from the clinic. Around 11, grandma calls and says that my daughter, my firstborn, Dina, the temperature keeps rising and she's not eating. So I quickly had to get back. But the meeting I was going for, I was just about 30 minutes to the meeting. I could actually, I postponed it.
Postpone it.
So I can go attend to.
Right. So looking at somebody who can postpone, you have to be there 9 to 5.
If this call went to my wife,
right,
she couldn't postpone. And I have a sense of her itinerary for today. She was literally leading a team meeting from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m.
All right, so that's when the other person comes in.
Exactly. So that balance is there. I've not even informed her.
Right.
Yeah, because it's important that she's able to focus on the work and all of that. So that is a level of balance. And I realize that it's always, it's never too easy, but it's always manageable like that.
If you agree.
Yes.
Okay, so now let's talk about the sacrifices that people make. Right?
So
people actually make a lot of sacrifices.
They do.
Not necessarily in a mother-father setting. Or mother-father-children setting.
At all points.
Yes. That's why it's called the life balance.
Yeah, it's sacrifice.
It's sacrifice.
I think that's the one word that perfectly describes
everything. It's sacrifice.
Yeah.
Because at some point, you want to go to school. At the same time, you'd have to, take care of somebody. Probably your siblings. At the same, it's either you are saying, okay, let my siblings go to uni while I work and help.
Yeah.
And mostly the first
exactly, and that's a huge sacrifice as well.
Yeah.
That's a very huge sacrifice. So let's talk about the sacrifices that people actually make as you get into adulthood.
So with the sacrifices, it's you need to forgo social events as a mother. You need to make sure you are not involving yourself in not so important events. There should be times where you isolate yourself from some people.
Okay.
You need to set boundaries. You don't need so many people in your space when you're trying to balance your work life and then family life. There are times where you need to be with your children. There are times where you need to go to school. There are times where you need to be at the market. There are times where you also have to juggle between parties.
And but that's even cross your mind.
Yeah.
Does it cross your mind?
Yeah, it does.
It does. To go for a party.
No, you won't have the time to.
That's the thing.
But as for me, I have the time. I don't know how I do it, but I do.
You find time.
I make time to party. I make time to take care of my children. Sorry, my child.
Okay.
I make time to join friends. So I would say, personally, I'm a people's person.
Okay.
I try to be there for people. I go all out. I do my best. It's not easy, but at times I sleep for 3 hours. Just because I have to be there for this person. I have to join this girl
will that
to
be
go
at
somewhere.
the expense of probably where your child is going to be?
No.
Exactly.
No. My child comes first.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So these sacrifices are really huge. I don't know if we're not getting into it real well, because it's quite emotional for me because most of the sacrifices we make, sometimes you don't even reap anything.
Yeah.
Right?
You reap it at the right time.
At the right time.
Now you're not seeing it. So even so for me, as an entrepreneur, the sacrifices, like she's talking about like family and kids, but even sometimes at your business, because you know that the type of work we do,
right,
and that your friends or your family need you. I remember when I was starting Comifest, first 3 years, if you invite me to any family event, I will not come because the times I open are the times that people normally do things. So they're like, but you don't come, you don't. But now sometimes I go and then I leave my business and I come back and there's losses and you're like, so why did you even go? But you have to go. So it's not easy, but we're still trying to figure it out. Yes.
Okay.
There's no manual.
Take me to my next question. You know, what sacrifices do people make when it comes to motherhood and then your ambition. Work ambition? People make a lot of sacrifices.
Yeah. A lot of it. And I interact with a lot of sisters of mine, I mean, both biological and social. And there's always that thing about when they realize they had taken seed and the drastic changes they had to go through, you know, realign goals, realign priorities and all of that. Even health-wise, what becomes important per time, and all of that. So it is that, and I think the expression that adulthood is a scam, it's actually not a scam, just that we are not prepared well enough.
It's a scam.
No, I think it's a preparation.
It's a big scam.
We're not prepared well enough.
But who's ever prepared?
But I think that's the bigger question here. That family orientation.
Okay, it should be in there.
Should be in there to prepare you for it. I mean, it will not be complete, but at least to have the mindset. I think growing up, one of the words you never stop hearing is that raising kids is sacrifice.
I never
you
heard
sacrifice your sleep so much.
Yeah, but you said growing up, the things you hear, we never hear.
We never heard that.
Like,
oh, wow.
We were never told that.
Please. Most mothers will say that. Say, if my mother had told me this thing, like I would have entered.
So
you know?
Okay, then let me get a commitment from 3 mothers here that you will make sure your daughters and sons are aware. You know, I think sometimes in parenting we shield the children too much. From the realities of life. Exactly. And I think a certain level of openness is important so they begin to appreciate what they are growing into. You know, and I because when you expect something and it comes at you, the toll on you is not as bad as when you don't expect. If I didn't even think that it was a reality, then it becomes a challenge. You know, so I believe it's part of, and that is why I insisted to have a daughter first.
But how are you?
Oh no, but I did it.
How did you do it to know that the first child is going to be a female?
What you
want to know, please?
Okay.
Because my first child is a male.
Oh wow.
Show me.
So that
my next life.
You know, is it children are a gift, right? From who?
God.
So I had a deal with him.
Hey, so we that we did have we that we have sons at first.
So you see the second one.
But
you wanted a daughter.
I had a deal with him.
Are you sure it was a deal?
Yeah, because you're saying
how many deals are there?
Oh no, maybe you started negotiations and you abandoned it. Exactly.
I never did that.
But
all I wanted to do was have a child.
Yes, I insisted that I wanted a daughter first. And the second one is a boy.
Okay.
So what's your reason?
I think I would want to be able to shape who she becomes, and I like powerful female characters.
I don't think that should be powerful even if she's second or third.
No, I also have friends. I was the firstborn. But I have friends who had big sisters, and Rashid can just go visit the sister and is coming back with stew.
Oh, so that's what she wants for your son.
Right.
I know, right?
No, but I look at myself. I mean, my younger siblings could call me, maybe blah, blah. At best, I'll send you money.
It's the same thing.
No, he wants that. I think he's looking at that motherly love.
Because I realize that how we do the firstborn thing is very different. It's very different. And usually when you have the first one is female and you even lose the mother early.
Right.
There's usually hardly a vacuum. she's able to occupy that space so well.
But I think it's the
particularly
same with
if
it's
they are
the
younger
same
ones.
way
with boys
If
as
the
well.
dad should be away, the boy steps in as
As a
husband,
father, yeah.
boyfriend, father.
I play that role.
Exactly. So
But
it's
I
the
tell
same.
you, we can zero out and zero in, because
It's true.
the way we operate, right, it's always about, okay, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What can I attend to this one? All 4 back.
Hey,
Because
I didn't know that.
you need to be functional. And I
Okay.
think that is what leadership throws at you, that you have to be functional. So it gets to a time where form doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yes. Because you need things to operate, you need things to move, you need things to work. So at that point, and I think that's why God in his own wisdom made us less emotional. Not unemotional, but less emotional than females, so that there's always that constant ability to say, okay, I'll attend to you in 2 weeks. Okay, you are priority now. That kind of thing. But I love that idea. But I think somebody also might have influenced it much. Growing up, I picked icons, father icons, you know, and one of them had this fantastic relationship with the daughter. Fantastic.
And it was beautiful.
Yes. And the daughter was my friend. So even the first time she broke her virginity, she told her dad.
Hey, on that note. On that note, please. Anyway, so let's talk about juggling between a full-time job, a very full-time job, and family. You leave home at 6. You're back.
Depending on where you stay, you probably leave like 4:30.
Thank you. You are not around.
You
in
close
some,
at 5.
in
You are
some
still
spaces,
at work?
yes, but then in some jobs, you get to work on a holiday.
Yeah.
You get to work on the weekend. You get to work when the family's home.
True.
Kids are awake,
True.
mommy's not there. Kids are awake, daddy's not home. Kids are awake, both mom and dad are not home.
Yes.
How do you deal with that? We're still finding the balance.
Yes. So like I said, there's no manual to it. So we're trying. It's just like COVID. You know, during COVID, there were kids that for the first time are seeing parents. And I remember a friend of mine he called and he's like, my son doesn't know who I am. Like he felt that bad because he's never home. So the son is like, what is uncle doing here? They say, that's your daddy. Like, you know, they had to now find the time to now play together, to know what works. It's not easy. In the olden days, I think our parents' time, there were good house helps and there were house helps. We had aunties and uncles who could help. But
and
now,
even mothers who decided to stay home, be a stay-home mom.
Now, even getting a house help because of free SHS, you are not even going to. So finding help to even help you with the kids is difficult. So you're leaving kids in school. There are kids who are being picked up as late as 7 p.m. from school because of it's not their fault.
No.
Yeah, it's not easy. I think we haven't found it yet. I don't think we can find the answer to.
And usually, I think that it usually happens in a family where the woman wants to work, the man wants to work. I'm not going to leave my job because
I'm married
or I have children. Yes. And again, there's a notion that, you know, I'm not going to leave my life behind because I have children. Now they're grown. What happens to me?
Okay, so...
You know, they found their feet. They're in secondary school, probably university. What am I holding on to?
The secondary, I'm not leaving my life behind because of my children. I think it needs to be re-looked at.
Okay.
The children are part of their life.
Right.
They're part of your life. So it's one of those realities where you say, you know what, until maybe the last one is of this age, I'm going to pay attention to them when the context allows it, particularly in the context of a union where there are two people involved in order. You need that kind of sacrifice. If it happens that you are just alone, like we discussed last week, a single parent, you're co-parenting, the context is not so ideal. I think this is where, even with the one where both are together, this is where the extended family comes in.
Right.
All right? The extended family comes in. Because even if you have a housekeeper or a house help, you need an authority figure around.
True.
To keep an eye on what
now
happens.
I think we fall on cameras.
Yeah.
Now we fall
but
on
the thing with the
CCTV.
cameras is that you realize when it's already occurred.
Okay.
Well,
The damage may have already occurred.
Right.
So if you have the kind of family relationship in proper family sense, I think it is important, particularly when they are young, to have your parents, at least one or
Someone
two,
you trust,
stay in with you. The alternative, though, and I mean, we had that for like 2 years and was blessed. I had a very mature woman, about 48 at the time. You know, very motherly, because I was doing politics and campaign and all. It was
moving
drastic.
around.
Yes, and my wife had to do the 8 to 5. So what we did, we empowered her. When we realized that she was good, she had the right heart towards the child, we empowered her to be able to discipline so that there's no gap.
Right.
But what if all the instances you're giving, you don't have that family, because let's say you come from, maybe you're the only child, you don't have aunties, you have uncles,
Probably your mom is late.
Your mom is late, your dad is not available, there's no help. What do you do?
So I think there is, within whatever context you find yourself, there's always what is possible. You get it? So sometimes, as difficult as it is, you need to come to reality and say that, you know what, within this context, this time of my life, I need to slow down on work 40%.
Right.
So that there's a balance. So that the child, because otherwise you end up finishing, you embrace the life and lose the child.
But what if you're working for someone? How do you pause on your work?
Again, all of those are negotiated.
Okay.
They are negotiated.
We'll come to that negotiation. But let's take, no, because it's very necessary. We have to negotiate today. We've got some messages. So let me just go through them and then we'll go for a break.
Sure.
So, good evening, Noyo. My question goes to Courage. As a working dad, have you ever felt guilty for choosing personal time over work commitments? How do you deal with that? This is Stephanie in Kaswa. So we'll answer that. Hello, Noyo. I'm really enjoying the discussions. My question is, how can companies support parents and caregivers better in achieving balance? Because I think this is an issue that is common in our workplaces that we don't handle well. And it's from Maxwell and airports. I'll be back to read the messages again. Then we discuss, because I think that these are two major points as well. Right, so you're still on Family and Friends on Channel 1 TV. We'll take a light break, and when we're back, we'll get into these questions and talk more on work-life balance. We'll be right back.
In a world filled with challenges, we all need guidance, hope, and a lifeline to anchor us.
This is Lifeline, and I'm your host, Fred Crunchy Mensa.
From social issues, relationship challenges, and family matters, Lifeline is here to inspire, uplift, and guide you on your journey.
Where we give you support, where we hold your hand through the valley and through the thick and thins of life.
Join Bishop Fred Crunchy Mensa.
I welcome you especially to Lifeline.
Every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 p.m. right here on Channel 1 TV. Let's walk this path together, strengthen our faith, our families, and our lives. Lifeline, because every soul deserves a guiding light. Tune in to Lifeline on Channel 1 TV and let's grow together.
Welcome back to the Family and Friends show, or the Friends and Family show instead, but we're still family and friends anyway. All right, we're live on Channel 1 TV, and we're coming to you from our studios at number 5 Ola Hansen Lane in Tesano. My name is Noyo Kworte, and tonight we're talking about work-life balance. It's something that you can't actually, ignore totally. Once you get into adulthood, you'd have to face it. Once you have a job, once you have a family, once you start a little family, definitely you would have to think about this work-life balance or go through it. So we've got some messages. Well, you can be part of the show. Send us a message, and then we will discuss this together. Right, so before we went for the break, there was a question or two questions that we have to get into. And this one here says, hello, Noyo. I'm really enjoying the discussions. My question is, how can companies support parents or caregivers better in achieving balance? Because I think this is an issue that is common in our workplaces that we do not handle well. And it's coming from Maxwell in Airport. Do you agree?
Yeah.
You agree? It's not being handled well? Okay.
So I think what it is that most companies don't think of, it's just like, okay, the people come and work. They don't see their staff as family. That's
okay.
So I think during the break, I was talking that my friend has a company and they have a daycare.
Right.
So that you can either bring your kids with the nanny if they are that young, or when they close from school, they can come and then they are in their safe space. When the mothers close or the fathers close, they can take them. And there are a few companies like that have started that.
Right.
And when you do that, you realize that your staff give more of them. They are,
because if they have to think about how I'm going to run away and go pick up my children,
they're waiting to close like 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. But if they know that, oh, okay, the school bus has dropped the child off, the child is there, someone is taking good care of them, the child is there doing their homework, they're whatever it is. I'm there to work for you till 6 p.m.
Right.
When I close,
everybody
and
has
then
to go home.
Yeah. So I think most companies should look at that if they can. And yeah.
All right. So there's another question. Says, good evening, Noyo. My question is to Courage. So, Courage the Cowardly. Does this Courage the Cowardly something? Courage
dog.
the Cowardly dog.
Yeah,
So
the
this
pink
case,
dog.
Yeah, this case is Courage the Cowardly. No, not Cowardly. The courageous man. So, as a working dad, have you ever felt guilty for choosing personal time over work commitments? And how do you deal with that?
Never.
You don't feel guilty?
Never, because you see, I've come to that point where I've become like this. And that is because family is family. Yeah. One government policy can bring the entire work company closing down. What happens? So my priorities at all point in time, if it clashes, you pick family.
Right.
Yes, because I've realized that is what matters at the end of the day. You can always get another job or something. And if I'm working for you, my welfare should be important to you.
Good.
Okay, so I remember, there are times when there's a meeting, blah, blah, blah. Okay, have I been able to meet what I have to meet? Is there a way in which after attending to this, I can still get this done and all of that? That, for me, that is it. So it's not a matter of guilt, because my priority is that family, particularly children and wife, are priority, top priority. The rest is always, so they are the center and the rest is secondary, around it. Because at the end of the day, all the struggle, all the work, everything, what is it for? To feed them, to keep the family going, to keep them thriving and all of that. So if it gets to the point where now you realize that you need to attend to this and attend to them at the same time, I'll take time, deal with the children, and then we handle the aftermath much later. And connected to what my sister says, see, most companies in Ghana, I've realized, do the minimum, which is what the law stipulates. 30 days, 3 months for the mother, and then the rest, no. As a company, take an interest in the welfare of your staff and go beyond that. I know companies that were doing 1 month paternity leave.
Hey.
Yeah.
Paternity,
that if your wife delivers, they recognize that she needs support.
But when they go home, do they give the support?
No.
Well,
Some
that's
do.
But I think the new
we've given you.
I think the new generation of fathers are doing better.
Eh?
Yes. I think they're doing better.
You are talking on their behalf.
Yes.
Oh, I think some are. Some of the men are
supportive.
Yeah, and there are even companies where after the 3 months, you get to close early for until the child is 1.
Right.
Some maybe from 3, you get to close at 2 or 3.
Okay.
But these are all options that are available. And then there's the nursery that she spoke about.
At the workplace.
And when you do that, I think Dale Carnegie says is that people do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. And when they know that you care about their welfare, they will give in.
Give 100.
You know, they'll do more, they'll put in more.
I think the nursery thing helps better when, you know, after maternity, your maternity leave, you're coming back. It's quite difficult leaving a 3-month-old baby
but
or 4-month-old baby.
On Friends and Family Show, I'd want to make the point that maternity needs to be at least 6 months.
6 months?
Yeah,
Hey,
minimum.
I thought you were going to say 1 year.
I
thought you were going to go
at
6 months.
least
6 months is good.
Yeah.
Because now when you're leaving a child, they're eating solids.
Yes.
So at least you're comfortable, you can feed them. Because the whole breastfeeding thing is serious, eh? You have to wake up at dawn, save some milk, and then it drains you, and you're on the bus or in the car next at 5 or 6 going to work. It's very draining.
Minimum 6 months, you know, and even an optional 6 months, maybe with reduced pay or something.
Okay.
So that depending on the circumstance,
right,
you know, you can say, okay, I'll take half pay for the next 6 months. When the child is 1, they are walking and all of that time.
You're comfortable.
Yes, then you
Some
can.
schools actually start at 1.
Yeah.
So you can actually take the kid to a
Even
crèche.
at 6 months.
At 6 months, right. Okay, so now let's talk about this.
Okay.
Do you feel guilty when work wins over the time you have for family?
Sometimes you feel
guilty.
Yes.
I do feel
very guilty.
I feel guilty.
When work?
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel guilty.
Okay.
You know, not that like there's no one in the space.
The rules. Why do you feel guilty?
You know, because I'm like, oh, because you know when you walk into the house and they go, you get. I'm like, oh, I've left you for too long. But again, after the mommy, that's it.
They've gone,
They're gone. So, you know, sometimes you're like, oh, I've taken too much time out. But again, you come back to your mind and go like, well, I'm doing this for you anyway. You know, so that's where you get the consolation from. That, okay, I'm doing this for you. And I think that's why I find the balance.
I think it's a constant struggle.
Yes.
Why? Because both are important.
Right.
Both are important. So when one tends to suffer from the other, there's a natural tendency to want to feel guilty. But, well, will you also stay home and not be able to feed them?
No.
So having the balance in your own mind in terms of why it's important. You can say, okay, for the next 5 years, 10 years, I'm doing it intensive this way, but after that, I'm going to switch.
That's the intent.
Yes.
So I make sure that's, you know, the time that I have with my kids, that time is intense.
Quality,
we do quality time. We do everything. Of course, you scold them and all of that, but you know, we do the fun thing. Probably I'm taking you out to the park. We're singing together. My daughter likes to come into the kitchen, so now we have a little set. You know, that kind of thing. So I make sure that I enjoy that time because I know when you go to bed and I'm out.
Because I realize also that it's sometimes even easier for the 8 to 5.
Okay.
There are people,
how is it easy?
There are people whose time is not so predictable because of what they do. I have met journalists covering elections.
Yeah.
Yes, and sometimes at 11, we are still counting the ballots.
Till morning.
And you are not leaving. You have to be there. Your work requires it. But the person who is doing the 8 to 5, maximum 30 minutes, extra 1 hour, she's closed, she's gone. You know, and that is why I think that as a society, particularly now, we need to advocate also for that proper upbringing of our boys.
Our boys.
Yes, proper upbringing of our boys. You know, because in these marital settings, most often, where the men are not supportive, the stress is extra for the woman. Because there's already emotionally so much that is stressing you. You know, just by the fact that you are more emotional beings than men. There's already so much. And where there's no support, breakdowns can occur. You know.
Is it possible for companies to establish running shifts?
It depends on what you're doing.
If I come to work, I know I'm working 6 hours straight. I do the 6 hours. I have more time for family.
Okay.
I get to spend a lot of time with the kids. So I don't then feel guilty when I'm not with them, because I know what time I'm working. I know I can discuss with the kids that, this is the time I have to be awake. This is the time I get off work. So I get to spend much time with them. I think we should establish, companies should establish that.
So let's move away from the companies a little. Now, having very understanding family members, you know, you're going to work. You've left probably mom at home. You've left her to fend for herself. Do you, I don't know how to put it, but we need to have understanding family members.
And it's priceless.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law, for some weeks now, we've not had an help. The one week ago, she came. 1 week later, she left unannounced.
Welcome to the club.
Yes. And so my mother-in-law is the one really fantastic. Always, you know, feeling in. She called me. I told her, she said that there's this happening with the child. I think she needs to go to the clinic.
Right.
And then I now rushed in. You know, so that understanding is there. But again, we've heard stories. We've seen people. You know, if your context is such that your children are better off with strangers,
you try. Yeah.
You're better off.
Yeah. Don't force yourself to say, we watch this on channel
family,
1, and so you have to bring family. Examine your context and make the decision that works for your context. I think that's more. But family supportive is absolutely important. My children know grandma, grandpa, like they know that whole ecosystem. You know, and she lives for 2 days, and where is grandma? Where is grandma?
Right.
You know,
because
so
the
even
bonding is there.
Yeah, there are times when she's at her place at Swan Lake, and we can go leave the kids there, and we run around, and go back, pick them
up.
And there's no vacuum. There's no vacuum.
Like
So
nothing.
having that kind of environment is absolutely priceless.
We really need that.
Some of us grew up in that context. I grew up knowing my grandmother, my father's side, my grandmother, my mother's side. She died, but that was the setting. And so once I assessed and realized that, no, this fantastic woman. In my case, my daughter is her only child.
Okay, that's why.
So
if you were playing each other, you see how you
have to
I think
split it.
technology also helps.
Okay.
Because let's say if you're a parent that's traveling a lot, then you need to rely on technology. I know parents who have certain times, like this is the time I do FaceTime or I do video call with my kids, and the kids look forward to it. So at that time, you see them running towards the gadget. Daddy is going to be on the call. Mommy is going to be on the call.
You're there, but
yes,
you're not.
Yes,
Okay.
because you can't be there physically due to what you're doing. But the kids know, so they are reading together, like they are playing, doing everything, just that not physically.
Yeah.
So we can also.
Sure. Sure. Let's take some few messages because we've got some messages coming through. Now, hello Noya, good evening to you and your guest. I'm an entrepreneur who is struggling to balance work and life. I want to ask, as an entrepreneur, how do you stay grounded with such a demanding schedule? And this is Mami Simpokase.
So,
yes,
like I said, for me, let's say a seasoned entrepreneur told me that the first 5 years of every business is the do or die stage. If you are not able to move your business in that time, that means the business is most likely to die off. So at that time, the beginning, you will need to give your all. You will need to let certain things go if you can. Like Sewa said, if it's social life, you will not have one. With the family, that one you don't have a choice. You close and you go home. You would, but once the business is now grounded enough that you can now find time to do other things, find time to be there for the kids, because you'll get to a point, by the time you get home, your kids are asleep. There's nothing you can do about it, because you needed to be there. Work calls.
Right.
If let's say you're a caterer, you need to be cooking, I ain't going to say that you won't take the job, you will do it.
Because of my children.
Exactly. So you in the
okay,
beginning.
there's one more message. Noyo, this has been my worry for years. How should I handle this? I really need help with this. Work call on vacation. Take it or ignore it.
Ignore it.
Ignore.
Yes, ignore it.
It's going to stress you.
You see,
on vacation.
Yes, you're on vacation.
So you don't answer any
Yes, before I went into entrepreneurship, I was doing an 8 to 5. When you're going on, it's like even like those times, so we had work phones. When I close, the phone is off. Because yes, it's off. What are you calling me at 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. for me to do for you? Once I have left that place, so if I'm on vacation, I'm on vacation. Unless it's some very huge money that will make me leave that vacation and come.
But so you answer the call, how would you
know?
No.
Oh,
you so
can leave a text.
You can send a message. I'll come and read it later.
I think such boundaries are important.
Yes.
Okay.
You need to set
okay, so you're all for it.
Yes. Otherwise,
do not answer the phone call.
Yes.
There will always be something at the work that will get them calling.
They'll call you.
Particularly if you're very productive.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in as much as you may have arranged to get someone to step in and all of that, once they are not getting the optimum that you deliver, there's a temptation to reach out to you.
They will call you.
They will call you. But see, and me, I say this way, say, none of that. The same work, the same company that is calling you
the
in that
day you
context,
die to find somebody to replace you that same day.
You make an error that loses them some money.
That'll be the end of you.
It's I'm wondering.
I have this friend. When she's on leave, she's on leave. She's on leave, and she's
still working.
Are you?
She's not on leave.
Exactly.
No.
So it's.
But it's also important
too.
for your healthy function.
Yeah.
The reason why it's called vacation that you are taking time off to de-escalate everything, de-stress,
to go on vacation, to chill,
take your mind off everything.
Yes.
It's very necessary.
For your own function, for life.
And remember, there's a time bound. Exactly. You know, you're off for 3 weeks, or probably you're off for a month.
Yes.
So I think they should leave you alone.
When you resume work and you want some days off, it's going to be very easy for you to get. It can take, because they will tell you work comes first. You just came back.
But also as a balance, what protocols are there in the office for taking time off? Because if the protocols are right, then there will be less need of you whilst you are away. You know.
Okay, so since we're still finding the balance on this work-life balance thing, how do you ask for help without feeling guilty or feeling bad about it?
Who are you asking the help from?
Anybody, probably friends, family. How do you ask for it without feeling guilty? Let's take the family, let's say, because they know you're always out there. You're always going 6, you're out. You're back at 11. Now you don't have time for me. You don't have time for anybody else. Why are you asking me for help? But they see that you're going through something terrible. That you're going through stress. Let's say, let me just settle with stress. They see that you're going through a lot of stress. And they know that you need the help. But they want you to ask. Would you feel guilty to go and ask that? I feel my brewati. So would you ask without feeling guilty?
You should ask, because if you don't ask for help and you think you can go through it all alone,
you break down.
And you break down. It's just like exam. You have school, say, okay, you have work Monday to Friday. You have school on weekends, Saturday and Sunday. You can't say you take care of your kids alone. You need to ask for help. You need to find a family member around, a friend somewhere, call for help. Please, can you assist me with this? You don't have to feel, if you feel guilty, then, I mean, you're just fighting for your life then.
It doesn't necessarily have to be that you have work or school or anything. You just need the help.
Yes, so and even sometimes what happens is it shouldn't necessarily be a family member. It can be friends. It can be a parent in the school.
Right.
So I know people that, like, because of their work, they're unable to go to, most of the kids' schools, they're always doing this
summer school,
not even summer school, this
parties, sleep overnight,
or they are doing this
slumber parties.
No, like during the school, during the day.
Okay.
So
extra activities,
or there's some play or something.
Right.
Now they are not able to watch. So what they do is that they tell co-parents, could you take a video of my child for me and send it to me? So that when the child asks, Mommy, were you there? I show that, oh, yes, I was there.
But because sometimes, too, you need to be there.
But you can't.
You know,
can't leave the office.
They're playing a part, like a play or reciting or something. It lighting up their mood when they see you come up and you're the one that's
my mommy.
I went for my kids, like, end of term, so they had the speech and prize giving, so they were having all of that. You know, it brightens up their face. But again, it actually derails them a little because but again too, they're looking out for you.
Yes.
You know, because other parents are there.
But unfortunately, mommy's job is such that she couldn't leave her office at 1 p.m. or 11 a.m. to come and take the video. So auntie does that in mommy's stead.
Okay.
Yeah, you get it. So it doesn't have to be a family member. It can be a friend who knows what you're also going through, because they are probably also going through something similar, but they have the time. Or it can be a total stranger, and yes, if that is that person that you feel comfortable with.
I don't, if you are in a company where asking for help makes you guilty, it's questionable.
Okay.
We are social beings. We are designed to need help. None of us is a superhuman on this end. So at some point you will need help.
One way or the other.
Yes, I think what's important is the social connections that you have said, that you can fall on people where they need be. And you can also be fallen on.
Yes. Yes, but will you be available?
It's a mutual thing. Maybe the fall on me that is needed is that it's not the same.
Not presence, like you don't need your presence.
Exactly. So I'm sure you all have that one person where you can pick a phone and you know that at that pressing point in time, that little support you need will come through. Okay. So you may not be physically present for them, but you're supporting them in a way that makes their life worth living and functional. And I think it's like that. So it shouldn't be a matter of guilt. It shouldn't be, okay, what about when you are helping people? Should you feel guilty that you are helping people?
No.
Exactly.
The same thing.
And sometimes I think the stress is reduced when you have the mindset of knowing that, yes, it's not an entitlement, but it's not something that is out of place for you to need help. But you're not entitled to the help. That's also one form of balance that is needed.
You're not entitled.
Exactly.
So you don't expect anything, so you don't get disappointed.
Yes. If for any reason my mother-in-law says, this week I'm unable, I cannot take them and all of that, it's very understandable. You know, but when you feel that they are your grandchildren, you should be there, then you are
being
crossing.
Entitled.
Exactly. It's not entitlement, but within your social set, even at work, there should be people that you can fall on at some time. You say that, Kweko, can you this for me? And she would gladly do it because she knows that when she's also in
or probably she understands
what you're going through.
Okay.
In the family setting, most importantly, if we cannot be relied upon, if we cannot ask you for help, then why are we family?
True.
So actually, Tyler Perry has this movie, Single Moms Club.
Yeah.
And it shows like basically what we are talking about. So I think some of these movies really, if we can pick certain key lessons, because the mothers were there for each other.
Okay.
At that point, we know that, okay, let's if we can, it might be difficult in Ghana to try, but if we can, okay, we know that, okay, this week is West 10. All of us are leaving our kids to Sewa. So that Saturday we can go to the markets, we can go. Sewa knows that next week she can go and leave her kids with Na. And then, you know, it helps. We can help each other in that sense.
Before I ask about the Single Dads Club, let me...
Single Dads Club.
Before I ask about that one.
You both have some.
You have some. You have some.
We want to join. Can we join? We want to see what's
there. One second, don't worry. This balance thing, I know women who feel guilty when they are unable to play the role that stereotypically is a woman's role, like going to the market.
Cooking.
You shouldn't. No, you shouldn't. You know, I go to Agubroshi.
No,
I do it.
Okay, they know you there.
Yeah, because you know the market day is Monday.
Customer.
It's Monday.
Yes.
What I do
is that
I have more control over my time.
Okay.
My wife is 8 to 5. She can't go to Agubroshi on Monday, market day, where you get the good deals.
And Wednesday.
He knows the deals.
He knows the days. Yes.
So I do.
Okay.
You know, that kind of juggling, negotiation, and all of that is important. Now, if she decides that as a woman, I'm supposed to go to my even markets, I can't go. You see that you'll be giving yourself stress over nothing, really.
Right.
So that's psychological positioning.
So I think that is an understanding part.
Yes, because what if you don't have a partner who is understanding like that?
Right. I wish that we could get on and do this over and over again, but our time is up. And we've been, talking about the whole balance thing, but I think that you have to agree that you need to find that balance if it is going out to eat. I actually champion solo movements. If you get the time to take yourself out to the cinema, go get a pedicure, go to the spa, grab something to eat. You know, solo movements, I'm #1 champion. You know, you don't necessarily have to be in the company of so many people. When you get that little time to buy ice cream, slurp. So just go out and do something. Find the balance. When you get the balance, grab it with 10 fingers, okay? We've been talking about work-life balance tonight on the Friends and Family Show. Thank you very much for coming through. We've had a very interesting conversation. So we'll be back tomorrow, same time at 6 p.m. My name is Noyo Kwote, and we've been coming to you live at home here in our studios at number 5 Ola Hanson Lane. I'll be back tomorrow, 6 p.m. Do enjoy the rest of your evening. Mwah.